Assalamu alaikum. I'm Shoaib Mohammed, lecturer in the Department of Pharmaceutics, Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Sindh. Today we are starting the new chapter of Industrial Pharmacy, Form 612. The chapter is evaporation, and the material for this chapter has been taken from Tutorial Pharmacy by Cooper and Guns and Theory and Practice of Industrial Pharmacy by Leon Leckman. So this is the outline. Firstly, we will be discussing what is evaporation. Afterwards, we will be discussing the factors affecting the evaporation. Afterwards, we will be discussing the different types of the evaporators. Now, the evaporators have been divided into three major categories. Number one are the natural circulation evaporators, which of course use the natural circulation. The others are the film evaporators, and the next are the forced circulation evaporators. And finally, we will be discussing the improvement of the efficiency of the evaporation. So firstly, what is evaporation? Now, evaporation is defined as the vaporization from the surface of the liquid. So what do we mean by the surface of the liquid? Now, the process of evaporation takes place at the surface of the liquid. There is whole bulk of the liquid present into the container, but the process of evaporation only takes place from the surface. Next, in practice, however, this would be too slow, so the liquid is boiled, causing vapors to be liberated in the form of bubbles from the bulk of the liquid. Now, but as we see, as an industrial process, if we see, now this will be a very much slow process. Now, for example, if we have to boil 2000 liters of a liquid, now this process from the surface will be very much slow. So this has to be carried out from the whole of the liquid. To increase the speed of the process, we have to carry out the process for uh, from whole of the liquid. So if practically we see, so we can define evaporation as the removal of liquid from the solution by boiling the liquor in a suitable vessel and withdrawing the vapor, leaving a concentrated residue. Now, in this process, we are boiling a liquid in a suitable vessel. Now, in that suitable vessels, as the process of evaporation is carried out, the vapors of the liquids are removed, and there is a remaining concentrated liquid residue in our vessel. Now, the factors that are affecting the evaporations. Now, there are a few major factors that affect the evaporation. Number one is the temperature. Now, the thermolability of the substance is very much important. As we know, there are certain substances which are thermolabile, which are destroyed at much lower temperatures. For example, glycosides, hormones, enzymes, and antibiotics cannot withstand higher temperatures. So we have to evaporate them at controlled temperatures or at the lower temperature. If we do not evaporate them at lower or controlled temperatures, the enzymes or the antibiotics will be destroyed. And in certain of the cases, we have to use some special treatment for some special substances like the evaporation of malt extract at the reduced pressure. As we know that as we reduce the pressure, we can boil a substance at much lower temperature. So by decreasing the pressure, by reducing the pressure, we can evaporate certain thermolabile substances, for example the malt extract. The second most important factor is the time for evaporation. Now, if the higher temperature, if there is higher temperature for short period is less destructive and vice versa. Now, if we boil a substance for higher temperature for a shorter period of time, it is less destructive. as compared to if we boil a substance at lower temperature for higher period of time. That means the more time exposure, more is the destruction of the substance. Less the time exposure, less will be the destruction of the substances. So it's better to evaporate the substance at higher temperature for a shorter period of time, which will cause the less destruction. Now, for example, there are certain type of the evaporators like the film evaporators which use less time and more heat. Okay, now in these type of the evaporators, so like I am saying about the film evaporators, they require less time and they give more heat, so there are less chances of the destruction. While there are certain evaporators like the evaporating pans, okay, which give lower temperatures, in which we have to give lower temperature for high more time. Okay, so there will be more destruction of the drugs or the medicines. Then there is the moisture content. Now, as you know, there are substances which destroy when heated in presence of the moisture. So constituent decomposition due to the presence at higher temperature. For example, hydrolysis. We have to also make consideration of this process. So to overcome this, evaporation is to be concentrated condition is carried out at low temperature and final drying at high temperature. For example, belladonna dry extract. Now in these situations, okay, firstly the evaporator is concentrate at lower temperature. At lower temperature, if higher moisture is present, that will be less destructive. Okay, so first we concentrate our product at low temperature so that most of the moisture is removed from our product. Afterwards, we concentrate it at higher temperature, which gives us decreased destruction of the product. For example, the belladonna extract. So now next factor is the type of product required. Now the selection of the evaporating equipment will depend upon the type of product required. Now if we require a liquid product or a dry product, for that we will be using the evaporating pans. Okay, while the film evaporators, these are certain type of the evaporators. Okay, we will be discussing these evaporators into the next lectures. So these type of the evaporators only give the liquid products. Okay, the next point is the preliminary concentration may be carried out in one equipment and final in the other. Okay, now for example, if we are carrying out the evaporation of a substance, okay, so and we want a rapid evaporation, so initially we may use the film evaporators because we want a rapid evaporation. As you see here, the film evaporators. Now the film evaporators give rapid evaporation, but there is a disadvantage that they only give the liquid product. Okay, as I have marked here, they only give us the liquid products. But if we require dry product, so initially we will be concentrating the product in film evaporating, and finally we will be obtaining a dry product by using the evaporating pans. The final effect is the effect of the concentration. So here the point number one is, here is the point number one. As the liquid becomes concentrated, there may be elevation of boiling point and risk of damage to the thermolabile material. So this is a simple physical phenomenon. Now if a liquid is very thin, okay, we require less temperature to boil it, and if the liquid becomes very thick, we will require more temperature to boil it or evaporate it. So more the temperature, more will be the destruction of the thermolabile material. So we have to make consideration that we are not destroying our very important drug ingredients. The next point is destruction of temperature gradient, sorry, the reduction of temperature gradient and viscosity increases solid buildup on the heating surface. Now as there is increase in the temperature gradient, as we are saying, as the concentration is increasing, as the thickness of the fluid is increasing, the temperature gradient will also be increasing. Okay, as a result the viscosity will also be increasing. Okay, and as we are boiling the material, there will be solid buildup onto the sides of the pane, okay, onto the surface of the pane. So these things will be reducing the spread or the distribution of the temperature, and we have to provide more and more temperature. So finally, how can we overcome these problems? So one of the suitable method is the turbulent flow. Okay, we have to produce turbulence. If there is turbulence, okay, the fresh liquid will be touching the surface. Okay, more liquid from the bottom will be touching the upper surface, and there will be distribution of the temperature. There will be no solid buildup. Okay, and more liquid will be exposed to the temperature, and there will be more better evaporation. Now we have the classification of the evaporators. The evaporators have been classified into three major categories. Number one is the natural circulation evaporators. Now these type of evaporators use the natural circulation, natural flow of the liquid for the evaporation. They have been further classified into evaporating pans, evaporating stills, and short tube evaporators. We will be discussing these evaporators into the next lectures. The second major type is the film evaporators. Now the basic phenomenon is that these evaporators spread the liquid into films, and that's why there is rapid evaporation. These have been classified into two major categories. Number one is the long tube evaporators, and second is the wiped film evaporators. The last category is the forced circulation evaporators. Now, firstly, we will be discussing the construction and the working principle of the pane evaporators or the evaporating panes. Now, here you see there is a hemispherical bowl or pane. Okay. Now, in this hemispherical spherical bowl, our liquid product is present. Here will be the liquid product. Okay. Now, how it will be heated? It will be heated through steam, which will come through this channel. Okay, it will go inside. Okay, and will be distributed throughout the pane. Okay, into the body of the pane, our product will be present. Okay, now here there is the air vent. Now as steam is coming, it is heating the pane. Okay, the air will be going from this air vent. Okay, so this is a jacket whereby in which the steam is present. Okay, now there are two outlets here. Now number one outlet is the outlet for the condensate. Okay, now as there is steam is coming, okay, it will be cooled down and there will be water vapors. Now the water vapors in the form of the condensate will go through this outlet. Okay, and here is the product outlet. When our product is dried, completely dried, okay, it will be taken out from this product outlet. So here are some important structural requirements. Okay, so it is basically a hemispherical or shallower pane constructed from copper. The material used may be copper or stainless steel and surrounded by a steam jacket. The hemispherical shape provides best surface volume ratio. Okay, so as you see, there is the surface of the pane is hemispherical. Now it is in this shape. Now if it is in this shape, more and more liquid will come into the contact with the surface. Okay, but in other type of the shapes like this one, there will be less contact of the liquid, or less surface of the liquid will be exposed to the external environment. So we have discussed this. Next is the tilting is possible, but outlet at the bottom is more suitable. Now as we discussed, there was an outlet over here, okay, for the removal of the product, but in some type of the equipment the tilting is also possible. There will be certain knobs here, okay, and through the help of the knobs the product can be removed from this pane by tilting the pane, and the product will be removed. But the more suitable and better way is through this product outlet from the downside. The example of the product that can be evaporated and dried is the licorice. Now the advantages and disadvantages of the evaporating pane. So firstly, what are the advantages? So the advantages are very fewer. So as you see, uh, they are very cheap, they are simple to construct, they are easy to use, clean and maintain. Okay, but there is a long list of the disadvantages. So number one disadvantage is the overall coefficient of heat transfer will be poor. Okay, so as there is small surface, here is the rough example of the evaporating pane. So here is the small example. Now as you see, there will be less contact of the liquid with the surface of the pane. Now when we will discuss the other types of the evaporating equipments, you will see there is more and more exposure of the liquid to the heat, to the surface. Okay, so here the as the surface contact is less, okay, there is less coefficient of heat transfer. Okay, and as these are panes, these are there will be layer formation, there will be less coefficient of heat transfer. Point number second is problem of solid deposition and foaming. As we have already discussed, okay, as the product is dried, okay, there will be formation of the solid deposit over this surface. Now when there is solid deposit over this surface, okay, now the product that is deposited over here, firstly it will be continuously exposed to the heat, that will be more exposed to the heat, so there will be more chances of the destruction. And of course this will also decrease the coefficient of heat transfer to the remaining of the liquid that is present over here, over in this area. So more of the deposition of the solids, okay, more will be difficulty into the transfer of the heat. And of course there is also if the substance is boiling, there is also the chances of the foaming. Next is the not suitable for the thermolabile materials. Okay, so in these type of the paints we have to provide more heat for longer period of time. So if there is more heat for longer period of time, of course the delicate substances, the thermolabile substances will be destroyed. Next is the heating surface is limited and heating area will decrease as the concentration of the product occurs. Okay, firstly we have already discussed that the heating area or the heating surface is less, but as the product is concentrated. Okay, now rough example, now if the product is present into the pane, okay, initially it will be at this level. Okay, now as the product is dried or concentrated, its level of course will come down because the vapors are coming out of it. Its level will be decreased. Now as you see here, this product was more exposed to the atmosphere, more exposed to the surface of the pane, while at this level it is less exposed to the atmosphere and less to the pane. So the heating area is decreasing as the concentration is decreasing. Okay, next is saturation of the atmosphere. Okay, now as we are carrying out the evaporation into a specific room. Okay, for example we are getting in for now this is the room. Okay, we are carrying the evaporation in this room. Now as we are carrying the evaporation, so eventually whole of the environment of the room will be saturated with that liquid. Okay, so initially there will be more movement of the liquid from here to this environment, but as there is more saturation of the environment, there will be less movement of the liquid from here to this environment. Finally, suitable for aqueous liquids only. Okay, it is only suitable for the aqueous liquids. Okay, why? Because in this process of the evaporation, the liquid that is present into our substance to be dried, okay, will be removed into this atmosphere and we cannot collect that liquid. Now for example, we have used ethanol for the extraction process. Now we want to dry the product, okay, into the evaporating pane. Now as you know, ethanol is a very expensive chemical. Okay, now if we use the evaporating pane, the whole of the ethanol will be dissipated into this room and we will be unable to collect the ethanol. Okay, of course we will collect the extract, okay, but we cannot collect the ethanol. Okay, and this process will be very much expensive for such products which are using the expensive solvents. So the next type of the natural circulation evaporators are the evaporating stills. Now why these are called as the stills? Because they resemble like a vessel. Okay, now as we have discussed the pane evaporators, now similarly there is also an inlet for the steam. Okay, then there is outlet for the air over here. Okay, and here is the outlet for the condensate. Now these parts are similar. Okay, now there is similarity that this the lower portion which contains our product, the liquid to be evaporated. Okay, it is placed over here. Okay, now there is a lid over this pane. Okay, and this due to the coverage with this lid, it is also called as the still. That's why it's called the still. Now this upper portion of the evaporating still is connected with a condenser. Okay, and similarly again over here there is outlet for the product. Now when the product is evaporating in this evaporating still, okay, the vapors will rise up, okay, and slowly it will be moved into this condenser through this channel, okay, and the condensate will be collected over here. Okay. As we have already discussed, into the evaporating pans, they are only used for the aqueous substances, okay, or where the solvent is very cheap. For the expensive solvents, we cannot use the evaporating pans because there will be loss of the expensive solvent. Now for example, the alcohol. Now for those type of the substances, we may use the evaporating stills. Here the evaporating solvent will be collected through this condenser and will be collected into a separate container. Okay, so this will provide us a much cheaper process or much cheaper product. Now if we go through the its advantages and the disadvantages, okay, the first of its disadvantage is the natural convention only. Okay, there is only natural convention. The evaporation will only take place from the surface of the pane. The second main disadvantages is that all the liquid is heated all the time. Okay, the liquid that is present into the hole of the pane is heated continuously, is exposed to the higher temperatures continuously, so there are the chances of the destruction of the product. And finally, similarly the heating surface is limited. Okay, these were the some of the problems which we were also facing with the evaporating panes. However, there are certain advantages of the evaporating stills. Okay, one of the advantage is similar, that is it is simple to construct, easy to use and clean and maintain. The second main advantage is that the vapor is condensed, so speed up evaporation and solvent recovery. Now, one of the major disadvantage which we had discussed about the evaporating paints was that when the evaporation was carried out, the solvent was moving from here to the surrounding atmosphere, okay, and it was saturating the surrounding atmosphere, okay. Now when it was saturating the surrounding atmosphere, there was less movement of the solvent from the pane into the surrounding atmosphere. While here we have discussed that it contains a container over it, okay, which will collect the vapors and send it to the condenser. So the surrounding environment, the environment over here in this area will not be saturated, and the solvent will be easily moving from this bulk to the condenser. Finally, one of the major advantages is the attachment of the vacuum pump. Now, if you fit the vacuum pump, we can decrease the temperature. As we decrease the temperature, the boiling point will be decreased. As a result, we can evaporate the thermolabile substances, the substances which cannot withstand higher temperatures. So next type of the natural circulation evaporators are the short tube evaporators. Now in this, as you see, their structure consists of short tubes. So these are the short tubes, okay, and in these short tubes the steam is present, okay. The steam will be coming from this inlet, okay, and it will be present in all of these short tubes. Now these short tubes may be from 1 to 2 meter in length. Okay, our product will be coming from here. Okay, it will be coming from here, and it will be present into these small spaces in between the tubes. Okay, it will cover a little bit area above the tubes. Okay, it will occupy the central space and this bottom space as well. Okay, now when the whole of the substance is evaporated, the product can be collected from this point. Okay, and the steam, the water vapors may be collected over here from this steam outlet. Now these tubes are collectively called as the calandria. Okay, now when finally when the evaporation process is going on, okay, the vapors that are coming out of this bulk of the liquids will be present over in this surface. Okay, they will be collected here, and then it will move through this channel to the condenser. They will be condensed, it collected into a separate vessel. So this will be quite an effective process for the substance in which the solvent is an expensive material. Okay, now for example the ethanol. So this will be a rather very effective process. So if we discuss it one by one, so there are steam heated tubes that improve the heating process. There are a number of tubes, okay, and because of the number of tubes, more and more liquid is exposed to the heat or heated surface. The next of the tube, we call it as the calandria. The length of these calandria may be 1 to 2 meter in length, and their diameter may be from 40 to 80 millimeter. Okay, these tubes may be present in thousand in number if the diameter of the equipment is about 2.5 meter or more. The liquid is maintained slightly above the top of the tubes. The space above is allowed to allowed for the disengagement of the vapors. Okay, as I have already discussed, the space over here is above the surface of the tubes, that is for the disengagement of the vapors, and those vapors are then collected into the through the condenser into a receiver. Now the advantages and the disadvantages. So the first advantage is that increasing the heating area by factor of 10 or 15 is compared to the evaporating panes. Now, as we have already discussed into the evaporating panes or the evaporating still, the space for the heating was very small. If I draw here, the space is very small. Okay, only this space was heated. Okay, now in the short tube evaporators, there were a number of tubes, and in those tubes there was steam which was used for the heating, and around those tubes there was substance which was to be dried. So more and more there was more and more contact of the substance to be evaporated with the heating surface. So there will be more effective evaporation. Next is the vigorous circulation reduces boundary layers, increasing coefficient of heat transfer. Now, as you see, there are a number of tubes. Okay, the material will be present into the thin films. The material will be present into thin films. Now if it is present into thin films, there will be more easier movement of the heat, and there will be more better coefficient of heat transfer, and that may increase from 3 to 5 times as compared to the evaporating panes. Next is vapor is condensed, so speeds evaporation and solvent recovery. As I discussed into the last slide, okay, the vapors were evaporated, okay, the material to be evaporated, okay, was converted into the vapors, and those vapors were collected in a condenser, okay, so that the expensive solvent was recovered and making this process a much cheaper one. Vacuum pump can also be fitted. One of the major advantage is that the vacuum pump can also be fitted. So if we decrease the pressure, we can boil the substance at much lower temperature, and that's why we can easily evaporate the thermolabile substances. Next is large scale manufacturing and continuous operation can be carried out, okay, the product will be coming from inlet and it will be going from the outlet, and continuous process, there will be continuous operation of this equipment, so a large scale production can be carried out with this equipment. Finally, there are the examples of the products that can be dried with this type of the equipment. These may include the cascara, sugar, salt, and the caustic soda. Finally, we have the disadvantages. The first major disadvantage is that there is a considerable amount of liquid is heated for longer time. Okay, the liquid that is present at the bottom of the material may be heated for longer period of time. Okay, that's why there will be more damage to the product. Of course, there are 1,000 tubes may be present in equipment that consists of 2.5 meter diameter. So of course the cleaning and the maintenance of the equipment will be difficult, and the plant will be more complicated. The final disadvantage is that the rise in pressure of about 0.25 bar, this increasing boiling point. Okay, so due to this complex structure, okay, the pressure inside this container may be increased by 0.25 bar. But of course, if the pressure is increased, there will be change into the boiling point of the substance, and there are the chances of the boiling of the substance. The next major category after the natural saturation evaporators are the film evaporators. Now, why these are called as the film evaporators? Because they convert the material to be evaporated as a film, okay, over a heated surface. Okay, there is a large heated surface, and material is spreaded over that heated surface as a film. So eventually, as a result of film formation, there will be more heat transfer. There will be more rate of heat transfer. So if there is more rate of heat transfer, more will be the evaporation. Now, these type of evaporators have been further classified into the long tube evaporators and wide film evaporators. Firstly, we will be discussing the long tube evaporators, and then we will be moving for the wide film evaporators. The long tube evaporators. Now these evaporators are steam jacketed tubes. Okay, there are tubes, okay, which are surrounded by steam jacketed tubes. Okay, there will be space in which substance to be evaporated is present, and on the both sides of that substance, okay, there will be steam jacketed tubes. Okay, the length to diameter ratio of those tubes is about 140 to 1. Now that means if the length of that tube is 7 meters, okay, the length of the tube is 7 meters, the diameter will be 50. Okay, the material will be present into tubes, and those tubes are surrounded by steam jacketed tubes. Okay, now those tubes have diameter, length to diameter ratio of 140 to 1. That means if the length of those tubes is 7 meters, their diameter will be 50 millimeter. Next is a film of liquid from on the walls and rises up down the tubes. Okay, now these are long tubes of about 7 meters. Okay, there will be film formation, and that film will move along the length of the tube. Okay, rise up along the length of the tube or may come down along the length of the tubes depending upon the construction of the equipment. Okay, that will be more elaborated in a better way into the next slide when we will go into the structural diagram. Next is the film travels at a velocity of 6 to 7 meters per second. The film that is formed in the tube of 7 meter, that gets a certain velocity that may be up to 6 to 7 meters per second. Vapors pass onto the condenser and concentrate into the receiver. Okay, along with the tubes, as the vapors are passing, moving above and above and above, finally they will be collected into a condenser and to a that will be connected to a receiver. Now here is the working principle that is explained diagrammatically. Now, as we have said, the material to be evaporated will be present into the tubes. So these are the tubes in which the material will be present. Okay, and these tubes are surrounded by steam jacketed tubes. Now, surrounding these tubes is the presence of the steam that will be heating this liquor. Okay, so all these tubes are surrounded by steam jacketed tubes. Now you see in the tube number 1, if there is less temperature, there is no change into the liquid. Now as the temperature increases due to the steam, now you see into the test tube number 2, there is small bubble formation, and these bubbles will be slowly and gradually increasing. Now if you see into the tube number 3, these tubes and in this tube, the size of the bubbles is increasing. Eventually, as the temperature increasing, you look into the tube number 4. Now these bubbles become more in size, and further smaller bubbles are also synthesized. In tube number 5, if you see, now these larger bubbles and the smaller bubbles combine to form a larger bubble. Okay, and eventually a thin layer over here is formed. A larger bubble is formed, and eventually a thin layer and smaller bubbles are over here. And eventually these bubbles will blast and form thin films. Okay, and these films will move along the length of the tube. As we have already discussed, the length of the tubes may be up to 7 meters. Okay, and the velocity of the vapors will be from 6 to 7 meters per second. The long tube evaporators have been classified into climbing film evaporators, falling film evaporators, and the horizontal film evaporators. There is different functionality of the and advantages of the climbing film evaporators, falling film evaporators, and the horizontal film evaporators. Firstly, we will be discussing the working principle of the climbing film evaporators. Now, as you see, uh, as we have discussed initially, that there are long tubes. Okay, so in those tubes the material to be evaporated is present. Okay, they are surrounded by the steam jacketed tubes. Okay, Now the material to be evaporated comes through this inlet, okay, and moves upside as it is heated. The steam comes from this inlet, okay, and the water from the steam goes from this side. Now as the material is heated, as the temperature is increased, the material to be evaporated is moving to upside by the film formation with the, maybe with the velocity of 6 to 7 meters per second, and eventually goes at this space, and from this space it goes into this vessel. Now this vessel has a separator. Now this separator has this ability to separate the vapors. Now these vapors go from this channel and will be collected separately if the solvent is expensive, and our product is collected from downside as a liquid concentrate. Now the climbing film evaporators are more suitable for the thin liquids which are to be concentrated. Next is the falling film evaporators. Now into the falling film evaporators, as the name suggests, the liquid to be evaporated comes from upside to the downside. Now in this, the gravity plays its role. Now if the gravity is playing its role, that means there will be more movement of the liquid as compared to the climbing film evaporator. So our material to be evaporators will be coming from this inlet and moving through these tubes, okay, that are covered with the steam jacketed tubes, okay. Steam will be coming from here and going out from here, okay. As the film is formed, the vapors are going from this tube to this vessel, which again has the ability to separate the vapors and the liquid concentrate. Our product is obtained at this downside. The major advantage of the falling film evaporators is that they can be used for the concentrated liquors, okay. It will be more difficult to move a concentrated liquid from downside to upside in a climbing film evaporator, okay, but it will be more easier to move it into a from through a falling film evaporator. Now in certain of the cases, the climbing film evaporators and the falling film evaporators may be combined to obtain a more concentrated product, okay. So firstly, a thin liquor will be concentrated with the help of the climbing film evaporator, and then the climbing film evaporator, the product outlet is connected with the falling film evaporator. That means now the concentrated product will go into the falling film evaporator. Now into the falling film evaporator, product is concentrated, it will be coming to downside, and the more concentrated liquid will be obtained from the product outlet. Now these type of equipment can be arranged at the different floor. Now for example, the falling film evaporator may be present at the upper floor, and the the climbing film evaporator may be present at the upper floor, and the falling film evaporators may be present at the down floor. So at a single floor at vertical position they may be arranged. Next are the horizontal film evaporators. As the name suggests, now in this the tubes are arranged horizontally. Into the climbing film evaporator and the falling film evaporators, the tubes were arranged vertically, but into the horizontal film evaporators, the tubes are arranged horizontally. The major advantage of horizontal film evaporator is that it occupies less space, okay. The long tube evaporators sorry, into the climbing film evaporators, there is a the cumulate may be of the 7 meter in height. Okay, so we need a higher roof. Okay, but into horizontal film evaporators, because the tubes are horizontal rates, we do not need much higher roof space, or the space will be compacted. Now in this, as you see, the liquid to be evaporated comes from this channel. Okay, it moves from these tubes and eventually collected into this vessel. These tubes are covered by the steam jacketed tubes, which are providing the temperature. Okay, here is the steam inlet and here is the steam outlet. Into this vessel, again similarly, there is a separator which will separate the vapors, which will be collected separately, and from the downside the product will be collected separately as a liquid concentrate. Now the advantages and disadvantages of the long tube evaporator. Firstly, the advantages. So because these are long tube evaporators, they will of course reduce the boundary and large surface area, giving improved heat transfer. Okay, the length of the tubes is about 7 meters, so the liquid to be evaporated is exposed to the more surface area. More the surface area, more will be the heat transfer. Next is low temperature and very short contact of time. Now because the material is present into the material to be evaporated is present into the thin films, and even the thin films are exposed to the low temperature. Okay, there will be a process of the evaporation. Okay, and of course if the material is exposed to the low temperature, there are less chances of the deterioration of the material. And why? Because the material is comes in contact with the heated surface for a very short period of time, maybe 20 seconds, and because of this there are less and less chances of the deterioration of the materials. Next is the tubes are very long, not submerged, so there is not elevation of boiling point due to the hydrostatic bed. Okay, the tubes are very long, the material is continuously moving, so there is no hydrostatic bed produced, and there will be no elevation certain reach into the boiling point, and there will be a chance of distillation. Finally, the examples that can of the materials that can be evaporated through the long tube evaporators include the insulin, liver extract, and the vitamins. Finally, the disadvantages. Firstly, the main disadvantage is that the equipment is very expensive. It's expensive to purchase, it's expensive to make manufacture, it is very difficult to clean and maintain the material, because as we have discussed, the tubes are very long, their diameter is very small, so of course they will be it is very difficult to clean the equipment, to maintain the equipment. Now and then the feed rate is very critical. Okay, if the feed rate is too high, the material will not be concentrated sufficiently. Okay, or the material will be concentrated insufficiently, because if feed rate is more, the material will be moving very speedily. If it is moving very speedily, it will come in less contact with the heated surface. Less contact with the heated surface, less will be the evaporation. So eventually the product collected will not be concentrated or insufficiently concentrated. But if the flow rate is very low, okay, there will be dry patch formation into the tubes. Okay, and eventually the product will not be collected effectively. So the feed rate is very critical, and it should be controlled so that a properly concentrated product is obtained. The next category into the film evaporators or the wiped film evaporators are also known as the rotary film evaporators. Its structure is somehow similar to the drum dryer. Okay, so now there is a rotor that revolves this drum. There is a circular drum, okay, that is revolved by a rotor, and this drum is surrounded by a heated jacket, and the liquid to be evaporated is present inside this drum. Now as the drum rotates, there is formation of the film onto the surface of the drum, okay, and the surface of the drum is heated through the heated jacket. Now as the drum is rotating, the liquid is continuously exposed to the heated surface. The vapors evaporators that are collected separately and the product is collected separately. So this is basically a single short tube of wide diameter, okay, that we can also say a narrow cylindrical vessel. Now it is basically a type of the falling film evaporator, but it is a single tube. It is a single large tube, and as the this drum is rotating, okay, the film is continuously falling down, continuously falling down. The vapors are taken off to the condenser, as we have already said, and especially suitable with the liquids that are too viscous. Okay, so as the drum is rotating or revolving, the concentrated liquid will, or the viscous liquid will form a thin layer onto the drum, and it will slowly and slowly evaporate and will be concentrated. Now the last major category of the evaporators are the forced circulation evaporators. Now there may be two forms of the forced circulation evaporators. Now, generally in the first form, agitator is used for movement of the fluid that is required to be evaporated. So circulation is provided through a propeller maybe. So the natural circulation evaporators with added form of mechanical agitation. We provide mechanical agitation for the movement of the liquor. So more the movement of the liquor, more the bulk of the liquor from bottom will come into the surface and there will be more evaporation. Content may be agitated with stirring rod pole. Okay, there may be stirring rod pole may be present that will be moving in whole of the liquid, and there will be movement of the liquor. Mechanically operated propeller or pedal agitator. These are different type of the propeller and pedal agitators you might have been discussed in the chapter of the mixing. So these propellers and agitators will be used to move the bulk of the liquid, so the liquid or the liquid from the bottom is coming from the upside, and the whole of the liquid is heated properly and the evaporation takes place from the whole of the liquid. As we have seen into the natural circulation evaporators, the evaporation was taking place only from the surface of the liquid. Okay, that's why the process was much slower. However, in the forced circulation evaporators, we are providing the poles or the propellers or the pedal agitators that are causing the movement of the liquid, and there is more effective evaporation. Now there is the second major type is the special forms. Now into the special forms, the liquor is circulated by means of pump and it is under pressure into the tubes. As the superheated liquor leaves the tubes and enters the body of the evaporator, there is drop in the pressure and the vapors flush off. Now in this type of the evaporators, the liquid to be evaporated is superheated. Okay, it is overheated under the increased pressure. Now if it is being heated under increased pressure, Now that means it is not boiling at a specific boiling point. Okay, now for example, if we are boiling water, okay, at an increased pressure, it will not boil at 100 degree centigrade, it will heat it more than that. So we are adjusting such a pressure that the liquor is not boiling in that container. Okay, then that liquor that is superheated in a certain container is passed to another container where the pressure is much lower. Now when the superheated liquid is pumped to a container where the pressure is lower, the vapors will flush off because the liquid was already heated, but there in the next container the pressure is lower, and in the lower pressure we know that the liquid will boil at much lower temperature. So because of this change of the pressure, there will be boiling of the liquid and the vapors will flush off. So we will discuss it in detail into the next slide. Now this is the diagrammatic representation of the forced circulation evaporators. Now this is the first container in which our liquor is present into the tubes. Now the tubes without the cross lines contain the liquor, and tubes with the cross lines are actually the steam jacketed tubes which are used for heating the liquor. Okay, now in this container, through the vacuum pump, the pressure is increased. Now when the pressure is increased, we can heat the liquor at much higher temperature, at a temperature where it will not boil even if we have crossed the boiling point. Now in the second container, the pressure is much lower as compared to the first container. Okay, now then we will move the superheated liquid into the first container to the second container through a pump. Now when this superheated liquid reaches into the second container, there is decreased pressure. Now when there is decreased pressure and this superheated liquid comes over here, the vapors will suddenly flush off. The vapors will suddenly move from this liquor and will be removed from here and will go to the condenser. And this is the level of the liquor we have to maintain. So simply, in the forced circulation evaporators, we are providing forced circulation. And for the natural circulation evaporators, there was no circulation or almost no circulation. But in the forced circulation evaporators, we are providing forced circulation through different mechanisms. Into the first type of the forced circulation evaporators, we were using the propellers or the agitators or the pedals for the movement of the liquid. Now when the liquid was moved, when the liquor was moved, the whole of the bulk of liquid was coming upside down, so the evaporation was taking place from whole of the liquid. Now in the second type of the forced circulation evaporators, we are actually using the pressure. Now in the first container, we increase the pressure. When we increase the pressure, we increase the boiling point of the material or the liquor. The liquor was superheated, then the liquor was moved into a next container in which the pressure was much lower, and because of this difference of this pressure, the vapors flushed off and were taken to the condenser very easily. Now in the last, we are discussing that how we can improve the efficiency of the process of the evaporation. Now the process of evaporation is much expensive, and there are different mechanisms whereby we can decrease the cost of the process and we can increase the efficiency of the evaporation. Now, as we have earlier discussed, likewise into the pane evaporators, we were unable to recover the solvent. In certain of the cases, the solvents are very much expensive, and if we do not recover the solvents, the process will be very much expensive. And later on, we have seen that we can recover the solvent with the uh, evaporating stills, along with the flame evaporators or the forced circulation evaporators. And there is also another mechanism through which we can save the cost of the process. Now, if you see, when we are carrying out the evaporation, now we are using the steam. We are using the steam to heat the liquor. Okay, when we heat the liquor, of course the liquor is then boil and then evaporates, and when then evaporates, the vapor come out, and the vapor that are coming out, then we then cool down and collect them into a separate container. Now when we are cooling down the vapors, of course cooling down means we are wasting the energy. The vapors are heated, okay, and we are cooling down by different mechanisms, maybe using the condensers or maybe using the water sprays, okay. So we are cooling down the vapors coming out from the first container. Now why we lost or lose this energy or lose this heat? This heat can be used in a process. Now here is a diagrammatic representation. Now if you see, this is the first container named as the first effect, and this is the second vessel named as the second effect. The liquor to be evaporated is present into this first vessel, okay, and for the boiling of this liquid we are using steam from here. When we are using the steam to boil this liquor, of course it will boil this liquor, and when the liquor will boil, there will be process of the evaporation and vapors will be coming out. Of course these vapors will be very hot, okay. Now these vapor can be moved out from here. These heated vapors can be moved out from here and can be used into a second vessel as a heating material or as a steam. Now this vapor, these heated vapors will go into the second container, into the area of the second container, and will boil and eventually evaporate the material that is present into the second container. So in this way, for the second container we don't have to use second equipment for the steam generation, okay. So this will decrease the cost of the process, because we don't have to make new steam for this process. We are using the vapors, the heated vapors from the first process into the second process, and this will decrease the cost effectiveness of the whole process. Now of course, when the vapors from this container, this first container, are produced, there will be less heat. Maybe there will be less heat as compared to the steam that there was coming from here, okay. So we might need some more heat, but this can be overcome by decreasing the pressure into this second container. We will decrease the pressure into this second containers. Now when we decrease the pressure into the second container, of course, for example, the solvent in these containers is water. Now for example, if there is water now and we are decreasing the pressure, then water will not boil at 100 degree centigrade. Now it will boil at much lower temperature, maybe 80 degree centigrade, maybe 60 degree centigrade. So if we decrease the pressure, may the vapors from first container may contain less heat of vaporization, okay. But they will reach into the second container, there will be decrease in the pressure, Of course, when the decrease in the pressure, now the water will not require such heat for the vaporization. Okay, it will require much lower heat for the vaporization. So in this way, we can use the vapors from the first process into the second process as a steam for heating the liquor. Okay, now when in this second container the process of evaporation is complete, the vapors will be collected if it is an expensive solvent, and will be transferred to a separate vessel. Now, the second method for increasing the efficiency of evaporation is the vapor recompression. Now, what happens in vapor recompression? Now, for example, this is a vessel in which we are evaporating a liquor. Okay, from here the liquor is coming, and from here the steam is going. Now, for suppose the steam going over here is about 1.75 kg at pressure of 2 bar. Okay, now when the steam will go from here and the liquid will go from here, the whole process, you know, there will be boiling of the liquid and eventually there will be evaporation. Now when there will be evaporation, the vapors will be going out from here. Now when the vapors are going from out from here, they will be heated. So we might return back some of the vapors. Maybe some of the vapors we inserted about 1.5 kg of the steam. Okay, so we may leave partial amount of the vapors, okay, and partial amount of the vapors may be returned back. So these 7.5 kg will be returned back at some higher pressure to this container. Okay, so that means the vapors will be used again. We are not wasting our heat energy, we are utilizing our heat energy. So we do not have to put more pressure for steam generation. Of course, there will be an equipment for the steam generation, there will be second equipment for the steam generation. Okay, now steam generator, of course, it will require electricity, it will require gas power, and it will be an expensive process. But in this, we are utilizing the vapors produced into the process again to vaporize the liquor, and in this way we can increase the efficiency of the evaporation and decrease the cost of the process. So now about the questions, I will take your questions into the next Zoom meeting. I will notify you from time to time. So finally we are going for the conclusion. So in this chapter we were discussing about the evaporation. What is the evaporation? Evaporation is defined as the vaporization from the surface of the liquid. Okay, vapors coming out from the surface of the liquid. But as an industrial process, if we see that this will be a much slower process. Okay, so for the industrial processing, we will boil the liquid. So the removal of the liquid will take place from the solution by boiling the liquor in a suitable vessel. Okay, and the vapors will be taken out. Now there are certain factors which have to be under consideration for the process of the evaporation. Now first, the major thing is the temperature. Now, the temperature is of very much importance for the process of the evaporation. Now we have to consider for the temperature of the material to be boiled. Now some of the materials are, for example, thermolabiles. So these substances must be evaporated in controlled temperatures as well as in specific type of the evaporating equipments, so that the process of the evaporation can be carried out for the very effectively. The second most important factor was the time. Now time is also very much important for the process of the evaporation. Now the most of the substances should be heated for higher temperature for short period of time. The higher temperature for short period of time is more effective as compared to the lower temperature for longer period of time, because if the material is exposed to temperature for longer period of time, there are more chances of their destruction. But if it is exposed at higher temperature for shorter period of time, there are less chances of the decomposition of the material. The next major factor is the moisture content. As you know that some of the material may become decomposed at in the presence of the moisture at the higher temperatures. Okay, so the moisture should be controlled and the temperature should be controlled. So if the substance is prone to the decomposition due to the moisture and the heat, so the initial evaporation should be carried out at the lower temperature, okay, and the final evaporation or the final concentration should be carried out at higher temperatures, because at lower temperature, if the more moisture is present, it will be less, there will be less decomposition, and when the substance is concentrated, there will be less moisture present, and if in the less moisture present we are heating the substance at higher temperatures, there will be less decomposition. We have to be also very selective into the selection of the equipment, okay, depending upon the product required. Okay, so for example, into the pane evaporators, okay, the liquid products, not the dry products, are obtained, while into the film evaporators only the concentrated products or the liquid products are obtained. So we have to be very selective into this into these equipments depending upon our final product. The last is the effect of the concentration. Now as we are boiling the material, there will be removal of the vapors from that liquor. Now as the vapors are removed, the liquor will become concentrated. Now we will require more heat, okay, more temperature gradient for heating the substance. Now if we are requiring more heat or temperature gradient for heating the substance, of course these thermolabile substances will be at risk. Okay, and as the process of the this process is carried out, the temperature gradient will be increased, the viscosity will be increased, and these will be playing role into the transfer of the heat and process of the evaporation. So we have to make consideration and make certain adjustment for the controlling the effect of the concentration. Now then comes the different types of the evaporators. Okay, we have different types of the evaporators for different type of the materials. For depending upon the cost effectiveness, we can use the different types of the evaporators. Now majorly there are three types of the evaporators. Number one are the natural circulation evaporators, second are the film evaporators, and the third are the forced circulation evaporators. Now the natural circulation evaporators have been further classified into the evaporating panes, evaporating stills, and the short tube evaporators. Now why these are called as the natural circulation evaporators, as we have discussed, they only provide the natural circulation. Okay, when we provide the heat, there will be natural movement of the molecules, okay, and no external force or the mechanical force is provided for the circulation of the bulk of the liquid. In the evaporating panes, there was a simple pane which was heated through the steam jacket, okay, and the evaporation was only taking place from the surface of the liquid, and this provided a much slower process, and there were more chances of the loss of the solvent into the evaporation. Into the evaporating stills, okay, there was a cover present onto the evaporating panes, and that cover was again connected to a condenser which was condensing the vapors produced through the pane. It was again heated through the steam jackets, okay. It had the advantage that it has improved efficiency as compared to the evaporating panes, and the major advantage was that the solvent, the expensive solvent, could be recovered with the help of the evaporating stills. The third type of the natural circulation evaporators were the short tube evaporators. Now in this, the liquor to be evaporated was present into the short tubes, and these were heated through steam jacketed tubes. Okay, there were number of steam jacketed tubes that were present. Okay, and heat was provided and the evaporation was carried out. Okay, again in these processes the solvent recovery is possible. The next major category were the film evaporators. Okay, they were converting the liquor into the thin films. So they were further divided into the long tube evaporators and the wide film evaporators. Okay, into the long tube evaporators there were about 1,000 tubes in a container of about 2.5 meter of diameter or more. Okay, and these were called as the cylindria. Sorry, these were not called as the cylindria. The short into the short tube evaporators, the tubes present over there are called as the cylindria. While into the film evaporators, the collection of the tubes are about 7 meter in length. Okay, and their diameter may be of about 50 millimeter. Okay, when the substance inside these tubes are heated through steam jacketed tubes, there will be film formation. Okay, and there will be rapid evaporation of the liquor. Now they may be designed, as we have already discussed, they may be designed into three different types. Okay, there were the falling film evaporators, there were climbing film evaporators, and there were the horizontal evaporators. The climbing film evaporators were suitable for the less concentrated liquids because it will be easier to move a less concentrated liquid from the bottom to the top of the equipment. Okay, and the falling film evaporators were more suitable for the concentrated liquids because the gravity will play its role for the movement of the film of the liquid. Okay, and finally there were the horizontal film evaporators, which were comparatively more compact than the falling film evaporators or the climbing film evaporators. The next were the wide film evaporators. In the wide film evaporators, there was a drum, okay, which was heated through steam. Okay, and the liquor to be concentrated was present, and it was forming as the drum was rolling. Okay, a thin film was formed onto the drum. Okay, and the evaporation was taking place. And into the wide film evaporators, it was more suitable for the liquors that were more concentrated. Finally, we discussed about the forced circulation evaporators. Into the forced circulation evaporators, we were using different types of the mechanisms for the circulation of the bulk of the liquor for the effective evaporation. Now, the simple mechanisms were the addition of the propeller or the addition of the agitator or stirrer, which was moving the bulk of the liquid, and the evaporation was taking from the whole of the liquid, not from this, or not only from the surface of the liquid. Into the other modified forms, okay, there were two containers present into the equipment. Into the first container there was higher temperature and the liquor was superheated, and then that liquor was moved through a pump into a next container where there was much lower pressure. So when that superheated liquid was moving toward that low pressure container, okay, the vapors were flushed off and there was rapid evaporation taking place, and then vapors were then collected through a condenser. So these were the three major categories of the film evaporators. Finally, we had discussed about the improvement of the efficiency of the process of evaporation. So there were two effective methods for increasing the efficiency of the evaporation. Number one was the multiple effect evaporation. Into the multiple effect evaporation, we were transferring the vapors from one evaporating equipment, okay, into the second evaporating equipment for heating of the liquor. And this increased the utilization of the heat energy. Otherwise, the vapors, as we earlier discussed, the vapors from the container were going to the condenser and then were cooled down. Now here we were using these heated vapors to heat or evaporate or the liquor present into the second container. The second effective method was the vapor recompression. Now, in order to vapor recompression, the heated vapors coming out during the process of evaporations were partially used into the same equipment for the heating of the liquor, so there was less wastage of the energy. So here we are done with the chapter of the evaporation. Thank you very much.